Hello class, and welcome to lesson 6.2, strategies for solving polynomial equations. Last class we looked at expanding and factoring of expressions. Now we're going to deal with the equations, okay? So remember that to solve an equation means to find the x-intercepts or zeros or roots, also called solutions. We already know the two strategies discussed in our workbook, so factor, then set each to 0 and solve, which is using the zero product property, or you can use the graphing technology to identify the x-intercepts. So let's take a look at our examples today. First of all, example A, we've got x squared minus 5x minus 6 equals 0. Notice that this is a trinomial, folks, and it's a simple trinomial. So in order to factor, we're going to let the product equal -6 and the sum equal -5. Think of what two factors fit both situations, and hopefully you should realize that the numbers you would come up with are 1 and -6. So it's going to be x plus 1 times x minus 6 equals 0. Now this is where the zero product property comes into play. Ladies and gentlemen, remember this is an equation, which means there's an equal sign, and that by definition of, I gotta fix that because now it looks really bad, definition of an equation is that the left side must equal the right side. Well, if we know the right side equals 0, how do we get the left side to equal 0? These are factors, so there's one thing times another, which means one or both of those could equal 0, because 0 times anything is 0. So what you do is you let each factor equal 0. So x plus 1 equals 0, which means x equals -1. And you don't need to show me that mid-step. You can go right to the solution. Okay? Or the other one is x minus 6 equals 0, which means x equals 6 is your solution. So those are your two solutions for that. All right, taking a look at our second example, which is B, ladies and gentlemen. Notice that 8 does not equal 1 in our trinomial, so we try to common factor, and in fact we can't. So this is going to be one of those decomposition examples that you should remember. Remember, product is A times C, so it's going to be 2 times -7, which equals -14. And our sum, ladies and gentlemen, is 13. Okay, so what two numbers, ladies and gentlemen, are going to make us split that middle expression up? Well, you leave the first expression or the first term as is, and we're going to split it up, and hopefully you realize that it's 14 and -1, so it's going to be plus 14x minus x, which is 1x minus 7 equals 0. Okay, so that's decomposition method. If you're not sure on B, look at last day's lesson or get some review help from me. Then what we do, ladies and gentlemen, is we look at the first two terms and we say, hey, what's common there? And we have a 2x. When we common factor that out, what's left over, you're going to have x plus 7. Looking at the last two factors, we notice there's a -1 common, so it's going to be x plus 7 equals 0. We're almost done, ladies and gentlemen. We notice that we've got a common binomial, so it's x plus 7 times the leftovers, which will create the second factor. Now remember, ladies and gentlemen, in order for this left side to equal right side, you need to solve each bracket. So you're either going to have x equals 7, or you're going to get x equals 1 over 2. Okay, so those are your answers. Okay, last one, C. C looks a little funny, ladies and gentlemen, because it's not correctly in the form of trinomial. So what we need to do is put all terms on one side to get one side equal to 0. Since A is positive over here, it's going to make A stay there. So that's the AX squared. I'm going to take the negative BX, come over, and make it a positive. Okay, and then minus C equals 0. Just so it's in standard form, guys. Okay, now I look at again, can I common factor anything out? No, so I know I've got decomposition. So my product equals 4 times -2, which equals -8. And my sum equals 7. Okay, so I'm going to split the middle term. So it's going to be 4x squared plus 8x minus x minus 2 equals 0. Factor out the first two terms. You should have, sorry, my fault, not 2x, but 4x. So 4x times x plus 2. And common in the next two section, or the last two, -1. So you should have x plus 2. So what are we left over with, ladies and gentlemen? X plus 2 times 4x minus 1 equals 0. Now to solve them, ladies and gentlemen, let each bracket equal 0. So it's going to be x equals negative 2 or x equals 1/4. All right. D, use the graphing technology to solve x squared minus 3x minus 4. So I'm going to just flip over to my graphing calculator. Please note, ladies and gentlemen, I've gone to y equals and I've entered the equation in. I'm going to press graph, and I can visually look here, ladies and gentlemen, and see that, hey, I've got an intercept there at -1 and 4. But you never know. It could be a decimal, so you can actually use the calculate menu. And I'll show you how to do that. So you're going to press second and trace. Okay, and then you're looking for the 0 because that's what we're looking for. Now my cursor says I need to be on the left side. I'm going to do the first one first. So I need to move my cursor so it's on the left side of that 0. I press enter. Right bound, I've got to move it down so it's on the right. Okay, hit enter. It says to guess, hit enter. And there's one of my zeros. I'm just going to quickly capture that and bring it to our lesson as proof of 1, 0. Okay, let's go back to the lesson for a second. Hopefully it's there. Good, I'll drag it down. Okay, and we'll do the same for the other 0. So you go back to my graph, do the same thing, second trace, which is calculate, number 2. Okay, left down. And this time, ladies and gentlemen, I got to get over to the other 0, so I got to be on the left side. So I got to be beyond the vertex there, guys. So there's the left side of that. I hit enter, right side, hit enter, it says guess. Okay, and there again is your second 0. Let me bring that into the lesson. Okay, and let me minimize that so it's out of the way. All right, so we have 0 here of -1 and -4. So if you wanted to write that in factored form, it's going to be x plus 1 and x minus 4. Because remember, it's the opposite of what's in the bracket. Okay? Any questions with that? Please come see me. I've got one more example on the next page. If you need help with a graphing calculator, just let me know and I can easily show you how to do that stuff. Last question. Determine the roots of x cubed minus x squared minus 6x equals 0. Then use a graphing calculator to check your answer. So the first thing I'm going to do is solve it my way. We're just going to write the question down here first, guys, because it's easier to do it if I've got it written down here. Okay, first thing I look to do is common factor. Can I factor anything out of this trinomial? Absolutely, I can factor out an x. So I'm left with x squared minus x minus 6 equals 0. I'm going to look inside my bracket, and that's a simple trinomial factoring. So I'm going to set up 2 brackets. I know it's going to be x minus 3 and x plus 2. If you're not sure how I got that, remember, your product equals -6. Your sum equals -1. Think of the 2 factors that apply to both cases. Then don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, you have to solve it. So how does each of these equal 0? In this case, you have 3 factors, 1, 2, and 3. So you set each of them to equal to 0. So x equals 0, x equals 3, or x equals -2. All right, and we're going to go try graph this. I may have to change my window and stuff, ladies and gentlemen, so let's go to y equals. Have some patience with me for a second. So we're going to put in x at 3, which is, oh, I missed my x, so let's back that up. X hat 3, okay, and then we got to go minus x squared, and then we need minus 6x. Okay, so we're going to graph that, see if I need to change my window. Looks all right there, guys. Okay, so again, I can go and do my zeros. And notice here, folks, that I do have 3 x-intercepts, which are zeros, okay? Again, I can't tell just by the graph if they're decimals or if they're even, so I'm going to use the technology we have on the graphing calculator. So I'm going to go second trace. I'm going to press 0, which is 2. I'm going to start. I always work left to right, guys. So you have to get the left bound, left side of that first 0. I hit enter. Right side, I got to move it up. Hit enter. It says to guess. So there's my first one. Let me just quickly capture that, guys. Oopsie. That didn't work well. Okay, let's see what happened there. Sorry, back that up. I think I canceled it. Oh, it took the whole picture. We're going to love that one, so I'll try that again. All right, let's see what a mess I made here. So, first of all, I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to delete it. There, now we're not so bad. That's what happens, guys. All right, we're going to go back and do the other one. Just give me a second. Okay, so now we got to go second, trace, 2. Now, for the second one, when I'm doing left bound, I got to be over that first local maximum. So somewhere there. Hit enter. Get below it, hit enter, guess, enter. Okay, so there's my 0 one, so let's capture that one. Back onto my lesson. Okay, and we'll do the last one very quickly. Okay, second trace, number 2. Again, I've got to get on the left bound, so I've got to go past my local minimum there, guys. Okay, oops, too far. Luckily I didn't, there. Stop, there we go. Press enter. Above, press enter. It says to guess. Okay, and there is my third 0 or third root or third x-intercept. All right. There you have it, folks. All right. So here's our homework today, folks. It is page 115 and 116, numbers 1E, 3E, 6, 7A, 9, 10, or sorry, 12A and B. Have a great day. Ciao, Bella.